Hi, hi. Hello again. Welcome back. Hope everyone's doing good. Lovely, lovely. So last time, I think I said I was going to look up some references to help me with my picture. I've looked up one. I've got a whole one reference. Which is more than normal, which is good. Good. But yeah. I think we should crack straight on. Go right into it. So that I can complain about my food in just a moment. Oh, what a time. Let's transition. Ooh, wouldn't that be nice? Into the image. Hello again. My attempt at Santa as a reindeer of a sorts. Anyway, my computer is lagging a little bit, so I might get a little frustrated, but we'll manage. How's everyone doing? There's no one in my chat. I don't know who I'm asking. If you're watching in the VOD, how are you doing? I uploaded my first VOD. Lots of M's. I uploaded my first VOD last Tuesday. I don't plan on doing VODs on Tuesday, so I think that was just a one-off. But maybe I'll post them. Maybe same day. Maybe Saturday. We'll see. It is better than I expected. An hour and 40 minutes, and it's got 14 views. Which isn't a huge sum, but it's way more than I expected. Sausage fingers. Speaking of VODs and streaming, I'm going to carry on with my Friday streams. That is the plan. That's what I'm going to do. But the cheesy streams, I think, are going to take a little bit of a break. At least that's what I last heard. So this isn't a pre-stream event anymore, at least for the time being. Speaking of cheesy streams, the last cheesy stream was an absolute banger. Honestly, it was hilarious. We played Gartic Phone. I don't want to explain Gartic Phone. That is all over the place. But it is hilarious and very cursed. There were lots of cursed drawings that came out of it and animations, and I apologize for my part in every single one of them. But it was good. Having fun, being silly, that is what cheesy is about. Oh my gosh, I think I just made this worse. We'll figure this out. We've got all stream to do it. Speaking of all stream, do you think it's a bit cheeky of me to start at 6 to have 5 minutes of prep time? Because that's how I think I'm going to play it. I don't know what I've done. This is awful. Am I not in the mood today? I've definitely been struggling with my motivation of late. I really want to get on top of that. Might be the season, as is the case. Might just be my mental state, but that's okay. As I said, that's partly what these streams are for, to help me with that. It doesn't look like you can hear it, but my computer loves to just scream in the background. It's fine though, because it's keeping up with the recording, so we're all good. I definitely don't think I should dwell on this. Just clean up and move on, I think. Definitely not trying to create a masterpiece. I'm just here for the fun of it. Does anyone else do drawing? Do art? I know one of my watchers does crochet. What have you been working on lately? I'm very, very tempted to get into crochet, to the point that I plan on doing it next year, as almost like a New Year's resolution. Because I really want to make little foxes. I have ideas, but they're probably not good for crochet, but I'm going to try them anyway. Because that's something else I like to do. I like to find my own mistakes, my own methods, my own ways. Okay, moving on from the hand. Like I said, we're not going to dwell on it too much. With my little foxes. Oh, hang on, let me just cough for a minute. Yeah, my throat's decided to misbehave. With my little foxes, they're going to be adorable little things. I do draw them occasionally. Maybe I'll put one on stream as well. Although I feel like I've forgotten how to draw them properly. But they're very angular, very pointy. I think they're cute, and that's really what counts. I'm back to the fingers. I couldn't stop it. It happened. There we are. Oh, where was I? Yes. Filling in the blank spaces of void sound with my own random commentary. So yes. My fam is out today. They're letting me have the chance to stream in peace, because I really struggle to do this kind of thing when there's someone else in the house. They've gone out to a shopping mall. Hopefully they're eating something nice now as we speak. But I decided to treat myself to a little food of my own. I've got a takeaway. I might regret that, to be honest. My favourite takeaway. None of this is sponsored, obviously. I'm not going to be sponsored. That's just silly. My favourite takeaway is Domino's Pizza. I enjoy their prices. I really enjoy their food. The delivery people near me are really friendly, really good. So I really like their service. They're really fast too. And then I compare that to places like Just Eat or Uber Eats, which is where I got from today, and it's slow, it's not informative, it's very expensive, it's painful. So I got myself a McDonald's today. The food itself is alright, I like McDonald's. You know, personal taste, each their own, no problems with that. And it was cold. The whole thing, the whole meal, start to finish. Got myself a Big Tasty. That was cold. Got myself chips. There were loads of them, way more than normal. Cold. Have you ever eaten cold chips? Or overseas cold fries? Well, I suppose they're still called fries here. They're just, it's like eating wet cardboard. Not that I've tried to eat wet cardboard, I swear. Don't look at my record. I got myself a hot chocolate as well. Give myself something warm to drink, because they were out of milkshake. You would think that it was good. A nice hot drink. It was barely warm and tasted mostly of water, even after stirring. I had a bad experience. I should have gone Domino's. At least with Domino's I can put it back in the fridge and eat it later. I was watching a video the other day. What's her name? Girl Gone London, I think her name is. Or the name of the channel, rather. And it was about British small talk. And how she thinks we're quite good at it, actually. Specifically, how we differ to how the Americans do it. Because, of course, she comes from America. Well, I say of course. She comes from America originally. She's a UK citizen now. She's been there for a while. So she's a little bit aware of some of the differences between us. Differences are not a bad thing, of course. I remember I was going somewhere with this. Oh yeah, small talk, yep. And one of the things that she talks about is how Americans can be quite personal in their small talk. How are you? What's your name? Where do you come from? What are you doing here? And for some reason that popped up in the comments a fair few times, how much do you earn? Fortunately, a lot of people were saying that's quite taboo to ask. It seems crazy not to be. But over here in Britain land, we ask things like, how is the weather? How was your journey? How are you doing? But not expecting an answer. Oh, gosh forbid, don't expect an answer. And it comes back to that funny thing that I love. We don't really ask names. Not really where I'm from anyway. Oh my gosh, my throat. One moment. So you can have a really long conversation with someone down where I live, not knowing anything about them, who they are, where they're from, not even their name, and they'll never ask yours. We're talking generalized, not specifics. There are obviously some people that do, especially if you get to know someone or you're flirting with someone, I assume. I think I'm done with the sketch work. Yeah, it all comes down to having that air of politeness. Not necessarily being polite, I wouldn't necessarily say Brits are polite people, but giving the impression of being polite. Just part of our culture, I guess. And I love it. I genuinely enjoy it. But I think it would be really fun to have conversations with some of my American friends. We talk online, obviously. We've got Messenger. I'm not very good at voice chat. I don't tend to enjoy it. It wears me out. After this, I imagine I'm going to have a lay down. But in person, I reckon it'd be really fun. Compared to what I'm used to, most Americans I've heard speaking are really lively and bubbly. Even if that's just comparison, you might think that you're quiet and reserved. But come over here and you're one of the loud ones. Okay. I think that'll do. I said that a moment ago and carried on drawing, as you do. Okay, I'm going to turn the sketchwork blue now. It helps me to see where I'm drawing as I draw the line work over top of it. I've tried lots of different colours, and I do for the various clothes. I'll put different colours for clothing sometimes. If I'm... Let me give you an example. So, say I've drawn the character, and I'm happy with how they're looking. But I want to add some extra details. So maybe I want to add some jewellery. I'll use a different colour to go over top, so that the original sketchwork remains intact, and I can do the line work from there. Kind of tempting to leave that in, actually. Chat, if you were here, I'd absolutely be asking you, should I leave this in? Should I take it out? I'm gonna leave it in. You had your chance, chat. Anyway, onto line work. I need a stabilizer, otherwise I cannot draw. Me without a stabilizer. Pretty awful. Me with a stabilizer. Still not perfect, but much better. I have a question, actually. For the people that draw, specifically the people that draw characters, when do you do the eye? As you can see, my eyes in sketchwork are blanked out. There's no soul in there. No pupil, no iris, etc. Sometimes I sketch it in if I just need to check where I'm going with it in future, but I tend to leave it until the very last. Well, I certainly leave it to the line work, to the colouring, not even the line work. I'm just curious how you do it. someone out there might be thinking, ooh, are you engagement baiting? No, not really. I don't really expect to have numbers to get engagement. I'm just genuinely curious. One moment. But speaking of engagement, my last VOD, my first VOD, did way better than I expected. It got somewhere in the region of 14 views so far, which definitely doesn't sound like a lot to some people, but to me that is really good for a video, especially 2-hour long video nearly. Let's do that with the lips. No. Let's get a really big chunky bottom lip, that's what I want to try and do. I say my teeny tiny dainty anime mouth. Yep, anime is definitely one of my strong influences. I couldn't really tell you where my other influences come from. Laziness mostly. Can I claim that as an inspiration? Being lazy? I've got artists that I would like to emulate, but I don't think I'll ever get to those skills levels. I have no shame in that, and I'm not bothered. Everyone has their own journey. Nobody has to be as good as, or as bad as, anyone else. No one has to be anyone else. Be themselves. Be yourself. Here's my message for the day. Be yourself. I don't know how much more generic I can get with that message. But it is true. I was talking about something. What was I talking about? How do you do eyes? How do you do art? Do you ever post your art anywhere? Does it happen to be sheezy.art? I strongly recommend it. I know, I'm terrible. But I really do like it there. I don't need to keep shelling it. Well, I do. It's a fantastic place. Loads more artists should go there. It's anti-AI. No algorithm. A budding community. Absolute range of skills and talents. And absolutely, and I mean loads of customization. If anyone was on DeviantArt back in the old days, this has got a lot of that feel. And as we continue moving forwards, it's going to have much more of its own feel and even more customization, more features, more fun. And with none of that pesky AI. And to sit back on the fence for a minute, not that all AI is bad, it's just the way it's being used a lot these days is. Anyone seen the Coca-Cola advert? Did you know that real artists could have worked on that? They did not. Super disappointing on every front. But then again, I suppose it also gets them talked about. No bad advertising. No. Oh, what's the phrase? There is no such thing as bad advertising. Or something like that. Which definitely isn't true, but that's the propaganda. Hello, WhatsApp on my computer. Hopefully no one heard that bing. Trying to keep my sound separate. It took me so long to figure that out. Oh, I didn't say happy festive season, everyone. I hope it's a good one, and certainly not a stressful one, but they almost always end up trying to be, don't they? I think most of my tiny demographic is from countries that celebrate Christmas. I know my country definitely celebrates Christmas. I celebrate Christmas. Can't think of the word. In the non-religious way. Fun, food, family, friends, presents, absolute indulgence. I'm not saying it's the right way to do Christmas or any festivity, but that's our way of doing it. Ooh, I'm coming down to the hand again. I have lots of regret going on down here. I'm going to take a drink of water. Make sure you hydrate. It's good for the body, even if it's not good for the soul. I have a confession. I am drinking water. I know it's terrible. I'm mildly kidding. Water is very good for you. Definitely drink water. I just really don't enjoy it. Whether it's bottled water, filtered tap water, or even just regular tap water. It's just not that good. So what I've been doing, in order to make myself drink water, is treating myself with my fizzy drinks afterwards. Fizzy drinks are not good for you. So, but they're good for my happiness. They spark joy. So I've got to drink my like one big glass of water in the morning, then I can have some fizzy drinks after that. I think next year I'll be changing the rules so that I'll be drinking even more water. But I also have to try and figure out how to not drink sugary caffeinated drinks before bed, because I need to fix my sleep pattern as well. But I can't really drink. Well, I can. I'll work it out. But in my head right now, I can't really drink water because I can't treat myself afterwards. So there's no real reward I can give myself that I can think of right now. Which I will figure out. Just lots of little tricks to try and help me get through the day. Alright, going back up the body again. I would love to know what other people do during this time of year. I have what I feel like is a very isolated view of the season. I don't have any friends from other like religious backgrounds, which means I miss out a lot on various cultures. Diwali, I think it's called. Ah, that sounds so much fun. All these festivities and holidays to help get through winter, to get past the sad months, which I genuinely love is a real thing. SAD, I think it stands for seasonal affective disorder, seasonal affected depression, something like that. I love that that's the acronym. It's beautiful irony. Or intentional. One of the beauties of making art is no one's really going to pay attention to the little mistakes. Okay, some people do, that's fair. Especially the artist. The artist is the one that tends to notice. But if you're doing commissions, if you're drawing for like general public, they tend not to notice, they tend not to mind, as far as I can tell. If you're doing advertising and things like that, if you're doing important marketing, that can be different. Big companies, they really need to be on top of their art design. People notice, people care. But things like what I'm doing, don't stress about the small stuff. Just enjoy the process. Have I ever mentioned I do these as a sort of therapy? Talking to yourself, giving yourself the positive thoughts to keep going. Nobody will notice. That looks awful. That's fine. I will cope. After today's stream, I think what I'm going to do is keep myself on the computer, get on with doing some things such as talking to some friends, working on some arty bits. I gave myself a sort of promise to work on opening commissions up this month. I have not yet started, which is not particularly helpful when you're trying to do commissions one of the things I really need to start as a priority, I say start, I'm most of the way through it, I need to finish it, is a picture for someone who has been very patient with me. More patient than I think they should be. I think once I finish that, I can properly get on with opening up commissions again. It almost feels like my barrier because I've been failing it. And it's one of those times where forgiving yourself is good and all, yes, good. Give yourself the opportunity to move on. But this one affects someone else, so I can't really rely exclusively on my own forgiveness. But I also don't want to open it up on stream because it's very computer intensive. It's a big picture. And if I tried to open up on stream, it would just eat my computer, and then I'd be left with a pile of computer chips and a bit of plastic. Nobody wants that. Oh my gosh, it's 20 to 7 already. Time flies when you're having a stream. Let's talk about something different. I have been learning to cook. I've been... Well, I said earlier that I like doing things my own way, learning my own way, making my own mistakes, things like that. And that's what I'm doing with cooking. I'm not following recipes, I'm not following it how it's done. One moment. I've got some basic principles in mind, but I've never been trained or anything like that. It's mostly self-taught. Getting help from my amazing partner every time. She is absolutely incredible, and if she's still listening, hello! I enjoy cooking with you, and I don't think I could do it without you. But that's not because I don't think I have skill. I mean, I don't have skill, I'm learning skill, that's part of the point. But because I don't have the wherewithal, I don't have the strength, I don't have the ability to get through a whole meal prep without being completely worn out by the end of it. So I very much rely on her help and assistance to do things like the actual frying of the foods or moving of the heavy saucepans. Because without that kind of assistance, I'd probably just be cooking cheesy pasta and struggling even then. And when I say cheesy pasta, what I mean is pasta boiled in water and then topped with grated cheese. Not exactly what I'd call the highlight of culinary cuisine. But back to what I can do. Well, I can improvise, and I can put together something which kind of tastes pretty darn good. Case in point, I was making onion gravy to go with some bangers and mash, sausages and mash. The onion gravy was the real challenge bit. That was the bit I was figuring out how to do. Didn't really have a recipe, of course. And as I'm cooking through, it just tastes... It doesn't really taste of anything, really. Oh, hang on, I'll be back. I need to pause the stream. Hello? Hello? Yeah, sorry about that. I got a knock on the door just then. I didn't have time to do anything to properly pause. I would have muted my microphone. Had to receive a delivery. Which is the point? You'll be hearing this in the past. Delivery received. Not in the past. I know what I mean. Where was I? In the middle of a riveting story about onion gravy. So it didn't really taste of anything. It tasted sweet, but it didn't have any oomph, any punch, any... Like if I put that on the dinner, I would have had a very disappointing dinner. And then tasted it. I can't make the conclusion sound very interesting. I added parsley, and it transformed it. It was delicious. A simple act of adding just like a teaspoon of parsley, dried parsley, out of date, from the herb shelf, and it really made a huge difference. The idea that a single ingredient can do that is just so exciting, and it lends so many more possibilities. As long as you remember to take a bite and take a sip. I came up with that for myself to make sure I remember to taste as you go. Take a bite, take a sip. And eventually, as long as you remember what to do with the information you learn from it, eventually you can come to quite tasty foods regardless. That's the concept, that's the idea. The onions gravy was the first time I had to really challenge that. Because previously they'd all been coming out quite nicely anyway, the various things I've been making. But that one, that just wasn't it. And then it was. And that concludes the story of the onion gravy. What a riveting tale. What I really want to do, there's a few things I want to do. Lasagna is top of my menu, like top of my desire, but I really got to get that right because lasagna is my favourite food. I've got a little lasagna emote on my setting up screen that I made my favourite food, and I want to get it right. So I'm learning how to do I can't say this right. The bechamel? However it's pronounced. And I'm really having struggles with that. It's coming out lumpy every time. But we've got a few considerations that we need to do. So we can't use regular flour, we can't use milk, which makes it a little bit trickier. Not impossible, I don't think it's impossible, but it's just coming out lumpy every time so far, and that's something I'm working on. I wouldn't worry about trying to help me though. Their comments not necessary on this one. Because like I said, it's my own journey, and it's the sort of thing I like to solve.
I just hope that someday someone would love me.
Once I've figured out how to do the bechamel, whatever it's called, I want to learn how to do ragu, so that I can do both the white sauce and the red sauce. Why didn't I just say white sauce before? That's so much easier. And then once I've got the white sauce and the red sauce, I can consider the pasta. We use store-bought pasta. Nothing wrong with store-bought pasta. Good stuff. But I want to make it. A complete lasagna. That is my goal. I think it'd be so cool to be able to say that I cooked this, I made this. And then I can tweak the design, I can tweak the recipe, actually write down a recipe, that would be handy. Maybe I'll love it, and it's actually garbage. Nobody else will like it. I'm okay with this. When it comes to food, when it comes to taste, what's important is if you enjoy it. Not necessarily everybody else. That being said, if you are cooking for other people, that's when it does matter. Please be considerate. I want to add to that, but I don't really know how to phrase it. I'm sure it doesn't matter. Does anyone else cook? Anyone else have their own, favourite dish they like to do? As much as I'd like to do lasagna, currently my favourite dish I like to do is just burgers. They come out delicious. Very, very fun to make. Getting your hands in there with the mince. It's like playing with Play-Doh. You know, if I did have a chat, I'd be quite embarrassed because I haven't looked up at the chat for a while now. That is the kind of, not lack of self-awareness, but a kind of confidence I'm trying to build, where I can just go and keep going and not worry about what I'm talking about. Enjoy the conversation as it was. And that being said, having chat makes life so much easier, because they can come up with topics, they can talk about things that you would never have thought of. Other people are so interesting. And this is why I want to talk to Americans, have a polite conversation with Americans who do already ask the intrusive questions, the personal questions, because I would like to know sometimes about people's life stories, about how they got to where they are, about what they're doing. It doesn't often happen over here, but I do occasionally meet someone. Well, not anymore, I don't really go out. But when I worked in retail, there used to be the occasional person who'd come forward and talk about themselves and all the things they did. And it was just fascinating. Some of the lives that people lead. They go to amazing places, they meet amazing people, they do amazing things. It would be inspiring if I actually wanted to go out there. Right, I think I'm largely done with the foreground sketch, the foreground lines. I might add a line here as well. Much thinner, implying that it's not as close. And then we just got background line work, which is not particularly important. I'm just going to go swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Oh, no, not there. Swoosh, swoosh. These are very thick lines, actually. Ah, but that should be fine, because... yeah, I'm going to be blurring these later. So the actual line work doesn't matter too much. Ooh, one moment. Yeah, tickly throat. Yeah, the line work doesn't matter too much. I'll see if I can remember to do the moon later. See how it looks. I'd say I'm quite happy. It's coming along nicely. We're going to ignore this hand. Nobody likes drawing hands anyway. We got a few minutes until the end of the stream. Again, it's a little bit... It would be easier if there were a chat here. I'd say, are there any last questions? How are you doing? Have you got any plans for the day? How was the weather? How was traffic? I think... Oh yeah, I forgot to close off that one. Here we are. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I made a small mistake. I was working on the wrong layer. I better bring up that meme later. There we are. Much better. So yeah, I had an enjoyable stream. I got a lot of progress done. This hand is awful. The muscles are pretty good. Gonna draw some eyes in later. Probably with an eyelid. An eyelid might help. And... okay, yeah. I should be back next week at around the same time, 6 PM GMT. What is next week? Woo, Friday the 13th. One of my lucky days. I really need to figure out a sign off. One of the things I've been doing is working on my Japanese, and I'm hoping it's not cultural appropriation to use it in my intro outro. I really need to work on my Japanese, because I really like the language, I like the culture. That's it, there's no real need. I want to work on my Japanese. Nihongo wa kakoi. That's it, that's all I can do. I blank. I make one sentence and I blank. Oh well. Have fun. Take care. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Ja ne.